What's up, you guys? Tito back with another video. Again, like I said, I was going to keep that manga review series, so we're back, and this time I'm covering Fire Force. Now, I personally absolutely love Fire Force. Some people I know not so much, or maybe they haven't gotten into it. This video is going to kind of give you that push to check it out and see what you guys really think about it, because I really thoroughly enjoy it. But, like the last one, going to be a pretty short video, about 10 minutes. I don't need to make these reviews too long. I just want to make sure you guys get hooked in and are right away pulled in to what is going on. So, with the first part, let's begin. So, the best way I can describe the plot, and the funniest way, is it's the Bible, but with firefighters who can use fire and they fight each other. Now, that might sound weird to most of y'all, but I just want to break it down some more. So, essentially, it's placed in a world where there are these things that happen to people and they spontaneously combust into these like fiery demon things, and the firefighter's job, or the fire force's job, is to extinguish these people who combust and turn into these like fire demons. That's essentially the driving story for the plot until more elements are introduced later on in the story, of which I will not spoil. But the theming really revolves around, and this is going to sound strange because I don't think it relies too much on it, but it does revolve a little bit around religion and people's beliefs and what people think is the right thing to do. So you have the Fire Force people, which have it instilled in them that they're there to protect the citizens from these fire demons that show up out of nowhere and stuff like that. And you have separate groups that show up later, which have different ideals and different things that they want to do because of the way the story is written out, basically. So my biggest takeaway with the theme is you have to do what you feel is needed in your heart, because a lot of it is it's not convoluted, but it's more like you take one thing and you have this other group with another thing, and that's where the meshing or the disagreements or the fighting, whatever you want to call it, comes into play, and it just leads to a whole bunch of problems, and it's really not that great. Honestly, in my opinion, just about every group is right in a sense. That's what I think about it. That's kind of my idea on the theming. You might get some different takeaways. You might get some other things going on. But in general, it's firefighters who can use fire powers fighting fire demons and other people for the sake of their own goals and ambitions. Characters and character designs. My thing with this, I love a lot of these character designs. Some not so much, but I love a lot of these character designs. And I'm just going to start off with the main character, Shinra Kusukabe, I believe. And absolutely amazing. I love his mentality of like wanting to be a hero for people. He does a lot of things to help others, but he has this repressed trauma from his background, and it causes him to have this like really devilish looking smile, and it causes people to fear him and stuff. But his whole goal is to help people, so there's that like strange dynamic of people being afraid of him, but at the same time him helping those people who are afraid of him. It's pretty cool. I like it overall. I like that aspect of him. But him as a character, his development throughout the story is incredible. He gets stronger. He changes some of his ideals to match what he learns as he goes on through the story. And there's just like a lot of things that drive him. And it's really interesting to see how he changes throughout the story. I can't recommend it enough. But he is one of the greatest characters. One of my favorite characters of all time, on top of that, actually, in Shonen in general. My next character that I want to cover that's also a big driving factor is his homeboy, his best friend, Arthur. Arthur is one of the most goated characters I've ever seen. One of the best written characters. He has like this whole story arc. His mentality is about being like this knight slash king, hence the name King Arthur. And you know, his name is Arthur. But as you go through, you'll see like how he really thinks and how much of like a help he is to Shinra, and how much he kind of supports him without realizing it. They have like this rivalry and this like bickery that goes on. But like at the end of the day, that's his homeboy, and he's always helping him out. I love Arthur's character. I love his design. The stuff he does way later in the manga, like towards the end, absolutely phenomenal. I genuinely cannot stress enough how amazing his story is towards the end of the manga. It is absolutely amazing. So yeah, I will cover this last and final character, and he is just probably the GOAT of the whole show, the strongest in the verse, next to Shinra, and that is Benimaru. Oh my goodness, have I ever seen a character so well written? Like so OP, but so well written at the same time. He is like the strongest in the verse before some like stuff happens way late in the manga. But like through 99% of that manga, he is the strongest in the verse, and it is absolutely insane watching him train the guys, fight people, just do his thing. He is a super well written character. He's amazingly strong, but like in the right way. He's not overly like he's not overconfident or anything. But I love his character. I love the design. I love everything about him. He's just such an amazing character. I can't stress it enough. All the characters in this manga are really well written. There's some that you may not like, but I'd say they're all still pretty well written. So, for characters alone, I would say go read it. Just for the characters alone and seeing how they progress through the story, that would be awesome. And the final thing I want to do to wrap kind of this whole thing up before the conclusion is I want to talk about the tone of the manga, because a lot of people may go into it having like ideas that it's about religion and stuff, because there's like this whole like nun separate thing with the prayers and a lot of like the sun goddesses and stuff, and they worship all this stuff and whatnot, and a lot of people may be discouraged by that like religious undertone. But I would say it's not as heavy as you think it is in religion. I would say just kind of get past those parts, because sometimes they get a little much, but not too much. I'm not gonna like discredit it. It's still really good. I recommend it, but the tone is switches really well. You'll have moments where everyone's optimistic and it's going great and everything is like where it needs to be basically at that point in time. Then it'll like switch to a more somber moment or a more serious moment because of what's going on right after, and it's a beautiful contrast in how you take one thing and you transition it into the other thing. I personally truly love it. It's really great, and I have no qualms with it myself. But maybe if you have issues with the aspect of religion, it might maybe change your opinion on it. But I'd say give it a watch, give it a try, give it a read even. Whatever you want to do. And it's gonna be great. I promise you the religion doesn't stick out as much as you think it might. So really just kind of get past it if you can, and it's going to be such an enjoyable read, such an enjoyable watch. It's going to be great overall. And my final thoughts on this is I really love this manga. It is one of my favorites. I finished it already like ages ago. It was one of the best reads I've ever read. It is so beautifully written, so beautifully drawn in the manga, and I just cannot wait for the anime to finish and catch up to where we are, because it is so good. I would say a lot of strengths in its art style, in the pacing, in the characters, in the story. All really powerful driving factors. Some of the weaknesses, like some things that might hinder it for your experience, would be some of the characters aren't the most enjoyable, but they're not like big parts of the story. So like I wouldn't stress too much about it. It's just there. I want to let y'all know that it's there. So keep that in mind. And overall, if I were to give it a rating, I would easily give it a 9.9 out of 10. Like it's so close to being perfect. There's just that issue of like some of the pacing at certain parts and some of the characters of which I don't care for. But if you got rid of those or changed them up a little bit, absolutely perfect manga in my opinion. So it's the closest I'm gonna get to a perfect rating until I find one that I truly feel is perfect. And so that kind of wraps this up. I can't recommend this manga enough. It is one of the most amazing mangas written. I love it. It's amazing. There's stuff that I didn't want to say because I didn't want to spoil too much, but it is connected to another manga which I may be talking about later in the future, and it's so good. It's 100% worth checking out. I know some people might not get into it right away, and that's okay. You kind of have to trudge through the first couple chapters or first couple episodes if you're watching the anime, and I promise you, it's going to be such a great read once you get to the point where it's just action after action after action. It's so good. So good. Without further ado, thank you guys for watching. And if you guys have any comments any suggestions for mangas that I should review that I have read, maybe I haven't read, put them down. I'll check them out. I'll see what I think about it, put a review together, and put it out. Without any more delays, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.